Hello, welcome back to my channel. Just in case you're new here, my name's Tracy. In this video, we're going to be DIY crafting some stunning home decor pieces using Dollar Tree supplies, along with some from Walmart and a few from Hobby Lobby. And I already know what you're thinking. Stunning from Dollar Tree supplies? Yes, when I say stunning, I don't mean to be braggadocious. I say stunning because even I was stunned at how gorgeous they turned out. So let's go ahead and jump into DIY number 1, which I fell in love with head over heels as I was making it. For our first project, we start with this wooden tray. I purchased this one from the Dollar Tree in their Plus section. You'll also need a pack of these wood candle cups from Hobby Lobby. And we're going to use these candle cups as feet for our tray. And I'm just going to glue mine in all 4 corners with some hot glue. Now for this next step, we're going to be using some of these wood beads. It's actually a garland and it came from Walmart in their Christmas department. I got it 90% off. But we're going to be using them a little differently. We're going to string them onto some of this bark covered wire that I purchased from Michael's, and we're going to string on quite a few. So let's get started. Once we have them strung on our wire, we're going to stretch out some more wire because we need a little bit on the ends. So I'm going to take probably about 3 feet of this wire. We're going to trim it down, then we're going to move the beads to the center of our wire. Once we have them in the center of our wire, we'll bring back in our tray, and we're going to wrap the wire ends of our bead strand to the handles on our wood tray. Perfect. Look at how cute that is. Okay, now I'm going to take mine out and I'm going to spray paint it with this Ultra Matte White from Rust-Oleum. And I gave it 4 good coats. Now that it's dried completely, I'm going to rough up my bead handle with some sandpaper just to give it a little bit of distressing. Okay, now that my beads have been distressed a little bit, I love that kind of antique look about them, I'm going to clean off the dust. Now that I have the dust off of my handle, I'm going to put a design in the center of my tray. And I'm going to be using this gorgeous scrapbook paper I got from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to cut it down in a rectangular shape that fits in the center of my tray. That looks perfect. Now we're going to take some Mod Podge and we're going to coat the bottom of the tray and the back side of our scrapbook paper. And once I had my paper down, I then came in and added more to the edges of the paper and the tray, and then just smoothed it out. And once it's dried, I added 3 coats of the Mod Podge, letting each one dry in between. And once it's dried, I wanted to kind of finish off the handles a little bit better, so I came in with some of this jute twine and I just wrapped it around the handles, adding a nice little rustic kind of touch to the handles. And then you'll see how that really finished off the project. And then you can use this for whatever you choose. I'm going to be using mine to hold fruit on my counter in my kitchen. Now moving on to DIY number 2. And for this DIY, we're going to be using some of this gorgeous lemon ribbon from the Dollar Tree along with the yellow and white gingham, one of these wood rounds, and a 12-inch grapevine wreath from Walmart. We start our project by trimming off some of the excess twigs on our grapevine wreath. And then I'm going to take mine out and give it a few coats of this beautiful Rust-Oleum satin spray paint in green apple. And you could leave yours plain or whatever color you prefer to paint it. I just love this green. Next, we're going to put that aside to finish drying a little bit, and we're going to prep our wood round. And to do that, I'm going to be painting mine this matte white by Apple Barrel, both front and back. And once my wood round had dried completely, I then came in with some sandpaper, distressed the edges, and I kind of smoothed the surface for our next step, which is going to be adding a vinyl decal in a stencil form that I printed out on my Silhouette Cameo machine. Now that we have our stencil down, I decided to come in with 3 different colors, and since we're going with a lemon theme with the ribbon, I painted the little fruit yellow, I painted the vine green, and the name black. And then once everything had dried, I peeled off the stencil to reveal this beautiful custom design. Next, I wanted to add a little bit of antiquing to the edges of my sign, and I'm going to be taking some of this gel stain and just adding it with a cloth around the edges, and also dragging a bit of it to the center of our sign. And this is what you should have when you're finished. Now I'm going to take some sandpaper and I am going to kind of blend the stain in to the rest of the design. And then you'll have something that looks like this. And now that that's done, I took mine out and I gave it 2 good coats both front and back of this clear matte enamel from Rust-Oleum, since it is going to be hanging outside on a friend's lanai. I think it looks quite cute on its own. But I'm going to be adding mine to a wreath, the green wreath we painted earlier, so I needed to flip it over and add some attachments to the back side. And I like to use this greenery from Hobby Lobby. It comes in a roll, it's in their Christmas department, and I always like to get it on sale because it's so handy to make wreaths and things. So what I did is I cut a piece, cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut 2 pieces of the white felt as well. After our felt is cut, we're going to bring back in our wreath and we're going to see where we'd like it to fit on our wreath. Now I'm going to put mine a little off center of my wreath, and then I'm just going to eye the back side and see where I need to attach the greenery stems. Now that we've figured out where we want our greenery stems to go, we're going to distress the spots where we're going to attach it with the hot glue. This helps clear away some of that clear coat, and it makes for a better adhesion with the hot glue and the felt. Then we'll just take our stems and find the middle, put a generous amount of glue down, lay our stem in the glue puddle, and then we're going to take and cover that glue puddle with our felt. Now that they're glued on, we're going to attach it to our wreath base. And then, since I offset mine, I'm going to have a little bit of the green wreath peeking out the top and the side of my wood sign. And this will be the perfect platform to add my floral pieces to. When I'm working with florals, I like to work in bundles, and I learned this technique from my grandmother who used to do it professionally. You cut off all of your stems and then you'll bundle them together how you would like them and then wire them together. And it leaves you with these beautiful bundles of florals to just stick inside your wreath form. What I love most about this technique is it's kind of foolproof, and you see what the florals are going to look like before you start gluing them into your wreath base. And I also like that you only have to add a little bit of glue to the wreath. Instead of gluing, you just glue in the bundle. And once I had my 2 bundles made, I then kind of eyed up where I'd like them to be and glued them in with some hot glue. And now it's looking something like this. I really love those tulips too. Now we're going to be making some fun bows with this beautiful lemon ribbon from the Dollar Tree, along with this yellow and white gingham, also from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to make what I call a twisty bow, and I also learned this technique from my grandmother as well. And it's basically you start with a loop and then you just twist your ribbon and keep making loops until you're satisfied with your bow's size. And you can vary the loops. I usually start out small and then I gradually go up, and then sometimes I'll go back down, and that adds a nice fullness and symmetry to the bow. And I like to fluff as I go. It kind of helps you keep track of the size and the evenness of your loops. And I'm going to secure mine with this piece of wire I have laying beside me. I'm just going to twist that on the back side. Then I'm going to come in and cut another tail and then zip tie everything together for a more secure hold. I think this lemon ribbon is the star of Dollar Tree's spring garden collection. And to make the other tail, I'll just cut a piece of ribbon, and then like I said earlier, we're going to zip tie it all together. And now that I'm happy with my bow, I'm just going to take some hot glue and glue it to my wreath. Once I had it glued down, I added some of that gingham, white and yellow gingham ribbon, just to add a little pop of color. And I trimmed off the tails of my lemon ribbon, and I think it turned out adorable. I can't wait to send it to my friend. Now moving on to DIY number 3. And for this one, we're going to need some burlap fabric and an old fence picket. And to start our project, we're going to cut down a piece of our burlap. And depending on the board size you use, that will determine the size of your burlap piece. Once you've determined the size of your burlap piece, you'll then just trim it up. You want to leave about 3 inches on all sides of your wood panel. And then once I had my burlap cut down to size, I pulled out some strands to make a fringe trim on the top. We'll find the center of our fabric with our board, then we'll flip it over and we're going to attach it to the back side. Now to do this, I'm going to probably trim mine down a little bit more because it does seem a little bit excessive. Once I have that done, we're going to cut out the corners of our fabric. And you're just going to cut out little squares in the corner of your fabric. That way it helps the bottom fit the board better and you won't have all that bulky material at the bottom. And then we're just going to glue it down and we're going to finish it with our staple gun. Since it is going to be hanging outside, I wanted it to be secure. And be careful when you're gluing burlap because that glue will come through and burn your finger every time. That's why I'm using my jeweler's pliers. Then I just came in and finished stapling it. Now we're just going to continue on and we're going to glue down the sides of the bottom and then we will glue and staple the sides of our pocket. Let me glue down this first side and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. See, you want to leave enough room to create a pocket in your material on the front side. So we'll just finish gluing it and then we're going to come in with our staple and finish it up. Then you're left with this cute little burlap pocket on the front. And for my pocket, I'm actually going to be hanging this outside, so I don't want anything the little critters can live in. So I'm going to stuff it with these plastic bags. Now I'm going to be using 3 bags, but I'm going to save the 3rd bag until after I get my floral arrangement inside. And that's going to be these fun little yellow flowers. I just trimmed them down and then wired them together in a bouquet. And what I loved about this project is that you can change the florals out for the seasons. You could also turn it into an address plaque if you wanted to by stenciling some numbers on your burlap fabric. Then I'm going to now stuff my 3rd bag in once I have my florals in to hold my florals in place. And now I'm coming in with some of this Spanish moss and I'm going to fill the top side of my pocket. It does 2 things. It holds my florals in place and it hides the plastic bag in the pocket. So here's what we have so far. I think it's really turning out adorable. Now we're going to add some embellishment to the front side of our pocket, and I'm going to be using some of this beautiful satin ribbon. I'm going to make a wide band and then I'm going to add a simple bow. I love how this one turned out too. What do you guys think? Which one was your favorite DIY project? Let me know down in the comments. I'm always curious. Well, that wraps it up for these DIYs, and thank you so much for joining me and crafting with me. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. We'd love to have you here at Sweet Bay Lane. And until next time, make sure and keep it crafty.